All right. Cool. What's up, Lulu?
Hi. What's up, Brooke?
How are you feeling lately?
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I feel good. I feel really good. Um, I'm trying to, yeah, I was saying a little bit earlier
Yep.
that I feel like I'm on like a precipice
Mm-hmm.
of um just I've never walked this road before, which I know like everyone is kind of in their, like in this we're kind of going towards like nobody really knows or has experienced what they're
Yeah.
experiencing now.
Yeah.
But more so, this path of intentionality and just accountability and knowing like if I truly believe that we are co-creators with our creator,
Yep.
what does that actually mean for me? Like
Yeah.
then it's and I do. Like I there's too many like and like I'm like getting full like spine tingles, because it's
Nice.
like
Yeah.
I know this. I know
Mhm.
I felt it. I know, and this is where I not that I not that I wish that I didn't have to talk about like my childhood or like my past or
Yeah.
but it's so intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, there's a verse in the Bible that says, and I when the more that I look at the Bible metaphorically
Yeah.
and less like good and evil,
Yep.
there's a verse, I don't know, I think it might be Yeshua who said, let the tares and the grain grow together.
Yeah.
And will and you'll see that the grain I think will grow higher, than the tear or something. Like you'll
Yeah.
you'll see. Um, and that's the only way to go forward. Like you can't,
Yeah.
because if you go in and you try to cut away all the tears, you're going to cut the grain too.
Right.
So it's like you have to sort of let them dance together,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's just like that is the epitome of how I feel like right
Yeah.
now. Like I feel so excited and I feel so
Cool.
like, yay.
Cool.
But then I'm like, I'm still waiting for my abundance to like
Right.
come in,
Yeah.
which is exciting,
Yeah.
but then it's like letting the stuff kind of like drift that doesn't serve me into the background,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's just this dance of like, but I get to choose. Like I get to choose to be joyful,
Yeah.
Like I don't have to wait for joy to come. I
Right.
am joyful. I
Yes.
am, and
Wow.
like I am abundant and I am these things because, and then it goes into like the gratitude of like, because I
Yeah.
have this and I have that and I have, I have my family and we have our house and we
Yes.
have, we have so much. Like, are we really going to be more happy if we have all these things that are not bad things, like
Right.
they will add to our life, but will it make us really happier?
Right.
It might make us more whatever, but like in this right now, like I am these things, So how about
Yeah.
you? What are you feeling?
Man, that makes me feel so good though, because that's like exactly where I am too. And honestly, I feel like I see me for the first time and
Mm-hmm.
like, I've been on my purpose adventure or journey for the past year. And I feel like within this last shift of myself, and I feel like this is where patience comes in to receive the abundance because you understand, like, yes, it is all here. And I've been feeling like nothing but gratitude and joy basically like this past however long this past
Yeah.
year, but it's always has been in the back of my mind, like, when is it going to happen? But then it's like falling in love with the journey and still
Yeah.
being present in the journey. But then when you are so present with yourself, you understand these things that are blocking you from either seeing yourself or opening up to what the grand scheme of things are. And I feel like that's why patience is so, pivotal to this experience because when we have patience, we can let ourselves unfold beautifully and
Yeah.
like authentically and gracefully. And this last shift I had, I'm feeling really fucking good too. And I'm
Yeah.
feeling really playful and I'm feeling very
Yeah.
light. And it's like I can see me. And I feel like before I was wanting others to see me, type of
Yeah.
thing. And it was like, I made a short about it the other day, like when you're younger, and this comes into like your grain in the tears or whatever it was,
Hmm.
you have to kind of realize the programming of your little self because it's in the subconscious of your mind, of
Yeah.
that you are either not good enough or that you need to do more or that you need to overwork, which is going to tie into um,
Or
this
getting the approval of
episode really
others.
good.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it'll tie into this episode really good because we're going to be talking about balance. But
Yes.
like, when I was younger, my parents were always doing their own thing, so I felt like I
Hmm.
wasn't being seen, and I never knew that this was even a thing while I was doing my own work,
Yeah.
like through my YouTube and stuff like that. I feel like I was always trying to grasp for people or something like
Yeah.
that. Even though for myself, I would be like, you know, I know that even if this only reaches one person, I'm still happy type of thing. But
Yeah.
there's the ego of that being like
Hmm.
more or why don't whatever.
Is
And you
this going to
can
go
say
viral?
whatever, but if you
Yeah.
don't feel it
Right.
within yourself, it's like, so I feel like this last shift that I had from the new astrological year coming in,
Hmm.
is that I finally see me, and now I'm releasing all of that energy of others seeing me. Like I am good enough.
Yeah.
I am great. I am supported. I am loved. Right. And I
Yeah.
have like the same as you. I have everything I could ever need. A
Yeah.
house, a wife, a child, a dog, cats, whatever.
Yeah.
So yes,
That's
I'm feeling really
amazing.
good too.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you were saying about when we were kids, I think it's really, and especially, I'm excited that I get to, now that it's becoming clearer to me as an adult of how the universe and therefore others are a mirror for us.
Hmm.
Kids don't really, I think kids like we knew that as a kid, like I
Yeah.
think we inherently know that. But
Hmm.
unless you're told that, you're constantly looking for approval from others,
Yep.
which is not a bad thing, like
Yeah.
I mean, looking for approval, like you're really looking for approval for yourself, like
Right.
you're looking for self-acceptance through others
Yes.
because they're also a part of our creator. So it's like
Right.
we're trying this, like, am I okay? Because you're okay, like I
Right.
see you as okay. So
Yeah.
am I okay? And if that person doesn't know that they're okay, then it's just like this constant like ping pong
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah. Seriously. And it's
so
like,
it, yeah,
just
no, go.
always searching and always not feeling enough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and
And
your
the,
outer world will be reflected of what you feel. So if you're not
yes,
feeling seen, other people are not going to see you. So then
yeah,
you're just wanting more and then they're just not going to even more or
yes,
whatever. Or even like I said in my short, like so even if you're small and like your parents, like this didn't happen to me
hmm,
really, but if they say like, oh, what if you're gonna end up like a loser, like your uncle or crazy, like your aunt or
yeah,
whatever, and then that develops into a hard-working, ethical person that may develop like OCD tendencies
hmm,
and overwork themselves and always have burnout and always get sick
yeah,
because they're trying to
or
prove to
yeah,
themselves that they're not crazy
yeah,
or a loser or
or
whatever.
like a faux blueprint of like, well, that's what I'm going to do because somebody spoke those words over me.
Yeah, yep,
So so it's either way, it's
yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's like the
tears, like,
polarities.
hmm,
Yeah,
yeah. And so
cool.
I'm excited to like be able to, and just and I've been doing, and this is where balance really
Yeah.
comes into
Hmm.
it because I have really kicked into a lot of intention of actually meditating. And like I have been on this journey. Um, like hypnosis was my first little door portal of really not liking how I felt. This was like 2019, 2020. um 2021 of like, can I change how I feel? Like what, why, but really it was, and this is where recently I've realized, like, for the last, how long has that been? Gosh, 5 years, 4 years of being on this journey,
Yeah.
nothing is lost, nothing is wasted,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
everything is needed. All of our pieces that when
Yep.
we start stepping on that path, nothing is wasted,
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful for the last 5 years. And it's like a baby, like Emma, like I see her and every little day she learns something new,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
like, but we're never like, walk, like walk 6 month old, like we never do that, we
Yeah.
don't do that. We let them just explore,
Yeah.
if it takes them whatever, like
Right.
even the babies
Yeah.
that are like 15 months and they're still just like totally content, like, being in their little space, like we're still just like, oh, it's okay. They're just, they're
Right.
just learning.
Yeah.
So like, why would we not do that to ourselves, So, it's really just, but I realized like I felt the most comfortable with, and I was really busy, so I would just put something on, and do like a lot of subliminals. Like when I learned
Yeah.
about subliminals, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like I don't have to like do anything, like I
Right.
think I was
Yeah.
so tired
Yeah.
of surviving, and
Right.
thinking, and
Hmm.
it felt so good to just be like, wow, I can just put this on and go about my day. And it does work, like I
Yeah.
think it has its benefits.
Hmm.
Um, but I must say, to anyone who is really on the fence of like not wanting to jump into meditation, because it's always the ego, like, well, is this really even going to do anything? Like I
Right.
could be doing
Yes.
something else towards my goals,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I think whenever I would hear people say that, like, just let go, just be, just, I think I wasn't hearing like, but what does that mean? Does that mean like, and I think what they are meaning is to incorporate, and I maybe they don't say this because they don't want people to use it as like a talisman or like like just because you are sitting and going through the motions. And I think that's where you have to kind of come into it
Yeah.
as a baby comes into walking, or as a
Yeah.
baby comes in. It's really a personal thing, and you kind of have to find what that means for you.
Right.
So, like, for me, and even like being able to talk about this is purely from cultivating in the last week
Yeah.
a practice
Hmm.
of sitting and being intentional with my meditation,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yep.
I mean, I feel so like, and I knew coming into this talk, like I could feel differently. And like
Yeah.
it's just, this is embodying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
Hmm.
is sitting in stillness
Hmm.
with our creator, with the source,
Yeah.
where it's all around us. It's always with us. But when we are silent and we are connecting intentionally,
Yep.
it's different.
Yeah.
Like that's
Man,
all I can say.
it's
So like
amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
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 So to anyone who is on the fence of like, well, I could, definitely it's beautiful.
Yeah, meditation is key. Like letting go. I don't like it's been so long since I started meditation right away
Yeah.
on my journey, my awakened journey, that it's just like it's always here, and I've reached kind of like a state of samadhi to where I can be within the present moment
Hmm.
almost all of the time, and I can just release, and I can just, if
That's
I'm just sitting
beautiful.
here or if I'm waiting for you, I'll just sit here like this,
Like
you
in a,
know,
yeah.
just chill out if I want to. Sometimes I'll just be on my phone or something, like I am human,
Yeah,
like I'll
for
I'll be on
sure.
my phone or whatever. But there, it comes to a point where it's like meditation is so beautiful to just like empty
Yeah.
out yourself, empty out your
Yeah.
mind, so you're not, freaking. And this was a big thing for me. Um, in the beginning because I had major anxiety. Like I was diagnosed with like manic depression and stuff
Wow.
like that to where
Yeah.
I was just like everything that would hit me and me being a Pisces so sensitive, everything that would hit me, I would just feel other people's sorrows. I would feel
Yeah.
the weight of the world. And when I
That
started,
reminds me really quick on, did
yeah,
you
go
see
ahead.
Elemental? The cartoon
Yes, yeah.
Elemental.
Y-
So
The
Wayne,
Pisces
I
and
think
the yeah, or
the
the
Wayne,
water and the
yeah,
fire.
the
Yes.
guy, like anytime, but his whole family, like anytime
Yup.
anything is, they just are like, but
Yeah.
it's true.
It
Like I
is,
totally get
man.
that. Yeah.
It is. And it's like, man, for like sometimes like you know, I would tell people like I'm a Pisces, like I feel this and it's like, no, literally, dude, I feel
Yeah.
this shit like fucking deeply. And I feel like
Yeah.
meditation and actually at work, I would breathe and I would just look at my hands and I would be like, I'm safe
Yeah.
here. I'm okay here. And if I wasn't working or doing something, I would just sit there and relax, breathe, empty out my mind, look at my
Yeah.
hands, tell myself everything was okay and I'm safe in this moment and it is okay to let go. And
Yeah.
that's just been like a big part of my practice and meditation. I always tell people to meditate, like they'll be like, okay, well, my mind or this is happening. And it's like, you got to meditate. So,
Hmm.
because to learn how to still your mind when these things are going on around you,
Yeah.
right? So, meditation is badass.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And like, and, and really letting other, because I get like, and I still do, sometimes I just crave like my own silence
Mm,
and just like, but really letting guided meditations or visualizations or, like letting another
mhm.
guide you, and,
Yeah.
and sort of just, because then you have something to, they're using their storytelling or their
Yes. Their
gift.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
To
sort of set
direct you.
the, which is what we do that in our conscious all the time. Like
Yup.
that's what movies are,
Yeah.
like that's what, but it's what we can see, and so it's like inverting that and or inversing, like it's on the it's doing that on the inside,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like, and it's so I was tripping like the other day about the interface of our inner world. And
Ooh.
I know,
That
and
sounds
like just,
cool.
and like how we just assume like the ones and zeros of our computers and our screens, where on the interface of it looks like nothing compared to like what it creates,
Yeah. Yeah,
And
dude.
it's like, and we just assume like nothing is happening on the other side of this,
Right.
like of this stuff,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've even shown like even the air is vibration. Like this
Yep.
is all like it's all connected. Like it's just not empty space. Like
Right.
these are forms,
Mhm.
but this space is the yin and the yang, like
Yep.
it's all
Yep.
this like
The yin
stuff.
is inside of us and the yang is outside of us.
Okay.
And
Yes.
this is basically because it's the feminine and the masculine. So it is within every single thing. And this is where the balance comes in. It can be in
Yes.
work. What if you're working too hard? That's the masculine. Doing too much and overworking yourself, and then you get burnout, or you're not doing enough and you feel lazy and you're not taking care of
Yes.
yourself, then that's too much in your feminine. And it's like everything is masculine and feminine energies. This is why I like the
Everything.
Metatron's cube so much because it has
Yes.
the 13 circles and then it has the lines, and the circles are the feminine
Hmm.
and they correlate with the menstrual system of the feminine.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
13, you should have 13 in a year. And then the men are the straight lines, which is action. So, and which is all within us. And it's like understanding that balance, even with spiritual practices too. Like we are
Hmm.
here to experience this world. And if we're too caught up within our spiritual practices of like, oh, I have to meditate, I have to
Right.
say four prayers or whatever 20 prayers this day and I have to
Yes.
do this. But if you're not having fun and if you're not able to experience what this world is, I understand going through like the initial dark night of the soul and being able to figure out who you are and
And
stuff
hermiting. Yeah.
first. Yeah, and hermiting because that's essential. But eventually you have to come out of that and
Which is
experience
so
this
cool.
world.
Yeah, which is so cool because like I'm seeing the difference between like Buddha
Mm-hmm.
and Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
where Yeshua, I think, had more of he had like Buddha was an amazing individual. And I don't know a lot about him, but I
Yeah.
know like just from his what he has spoken, what he stood for was amazing. But Yeshua was very about like go and live this out. Like you
Yeah.
need to like you have everything you need within you,
Yeah.
go like do good to,
Right. Show the world.
yes,
Embody Christ
experience,
and
embody
put
the
it out.
Christos.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like embody it. Go love your neighbor. Like
Yup.
not just in your, like mental, like, yeah,
Right.
I'm not going to kill you. That's
Yeah.
loving you. No, love them.
Yup.
Commune with them
Mm-hmm.
because we're all from the same stuff. Like
Yeah.
we're all together in this. Like no
Right.
one's going to get left behind. And I love that. Like I want like because that always just made me so sad as a kid. Like that whole thing, which has been like debunked from the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
is like the whole left behind thing, and like
Mm-hmm.
only a certain few are going to be snatched up, and then everyone else is
Right.
just shit out of luck, and
Yeah.
it's like that's impossible. Like that's
Right.
impossible.
Yeah.
And that's where like science comes in and it shows like everything is connected. Like
Yeah.
a part of it, it might take longer for some,
Yeah.
in terms of like they might need to go through more, what I mean, like
More
I'm not
karma.
one
It
for that.
all. Yeah.
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 Like more cleansing,
Yup.
more, but they're like to assume that there's not grace for that and like there's not unlimited mercy, like
Right.
those two things. And this also plays into like where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yup.
And I think this is where people it's just frustrating for people and it was frustrating for me is like if you practice because I always have my earbuds in. I know it makes a lot of some people really crazy, but if you notice, like if one of my kids comes up, you cannot focus on two things at once.
Yeah.
I mean, try it. Like
Yeah. I
I know you
can't.
know that,
I
but like
can't. Yeah.
it's real. I mean, you might for a second, like, but it's very like, blip, 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 blip,
It's too
so pretty
much.
soon you have to just be like, okay, I have to choose one,
Right.
I have to take a pause and
Yeah.
I'm either going to listen to you. And I mean, like, it's trippy because
Yeah.
you really can't.
Yep.
So, like, you can't love someone and judge them at the same time.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
Like, you literally can't. You have to choose. But this is where, like, our own autonomy and our own accountability we and that's where I think when we come into our own power
Yep.
of understanding that bridge
Yep.
is so exciting because I'm real because like I've been so and this is like my own personal like being really transparent, really vulnerable right now
Mm-hmm.
because it's not embarrassing. It's just flipping frustrating to know all of these things. And again, like the grain and the tears because it's like my childhood, like all of my family is a part of that, and like people that I've known and people who are still in that separation
Yep.
type, and it's like it's frustrating because it's like I like just to speak your truth is like, and I think that's where people think the saying like it's scarier. Some people fear speaking in public over death. And I think it's because it's like you instantly feel like super naked and like just
Yeah.
super like this is what I believe,
Yeah,
like
or they don't want to be condemned, by others.
yeah.
And that's the judgmental aspect of it, you
Yeah. And I
know?
think a part of that is me like that's like that little girl inside of me where it's like because when you're told that you're going to be judged and like you immediately put that blueprint on everybody else, of like, well, then other people can judge me. So, like,
Yeah.
it's just so confusing, you know?
Yeah. And
Um,
and then you get to the point though where it's like forgive those for they do not understand
yeah.
because the ones who are judging, they are within that realm within themselves and they are not able
Like,
to
they,
open themselves up to the world.
yeah.
It's funny because I just had someone comment on my Yeshua video that I put out and they're like you twisted our Jesus or whatever and you're letting demons in or something like that. And I'm just like,
Okay.
I hearted it because I'm like, I could have
Yeah.
let it really get to me, but I'm just like, you know what? Like, I know what is truth for me, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna send you off with love, and it's all good. And it was really refreshing, though, to be
That's
able to
amazing.
just like, and that's the balance, that's the freedom, within it,
Hmm.
because even if your family or whatever isn't on board with it,
Yeah.
it doesn't like that's where we need to let go and let them be them,
Yeah.
so that it
And it's
doesn't bring us out of balance and being like, well, why can't you be like this? Or why can't you be like this?
right. And
So,
like, I don't even really, you know how, like, do you ever experience like where you're in your inner world. And this is honestly Daniel put on his last day that he was home. He put on the movie Alice in Wonderland that they came
yeah,
out with, and I had never really. I know I saw it a long time ago, but they did such a good job of that feeling of like a dream, and like
yes.
just
Which one
it
was
was just
it?
the first one, the
The cartoon one?
no, the movie, the live action one.
Oh, of the Tim Burton one with
Yes,
Johnny Depp?
yeah.
Oh man, I love
Yeah,
that. I
but
love that
he's so
so
cute.
much.
Whenever it gets close to like the Mad Hatter and like Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
he kind of it's like a little too much for him. He likes like
Oh,
the beginning part, but then
yeah.
once like all the characters come on, he's just kind of. I just noticed that he like will just switch it to something else. So I think it makes it very like I don't know,
Intense
like
or
yeah. So
something.
I let him just like I let him navigate it. But up until then, um, it was just the what was it the I think the what were we just talking about? Um, ah,
Oh,
oh
the
well.
judgment and your
Yes.
family,
Oh yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
families. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
courtroom. You know how
Yep.
like
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
in her dream, like, and it's like it's all the
Mhm.
parts of her that are, like so that's how it feels for me sometimes. It's like I'm thinking when I'm visualizing and really, really wanting to just share and bridge my little worlds, because I have
Yeah.
like this world and then I have just like my Facebook world, which is like the idea of like merging those. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like and it's all imaginary. Like it's all like, I don't know what would happen. And this is just me being really vulnerable because
Yeah.
this is where it's kind of, I wish it didn't like make me feel not even embarrassed, but like just be embarrassed because like I am not. And again, this is where like we're all babies in a sense, like we're and don't not to be ever hard on yourself. Like wherever
Yeah.
you are,
Hmm.
you're there for a reason.
Yep.
And if
Nurture
you can,
yourself.
yes, and if you can just hold yourself and be
Hmm.
like, it's okay. Like
Yes.
you don't have the fact that you can even look at it is amazing. Like me talking to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the
Yeah.
fact that you can even just hold
Right.
this little seedling
Yeah,
and
your
be
your
like,
higher
you're
self.
okay.
Your
Yeah.
higher self holding your
Yes.
ego or your baby self or
And
whatever
just
it
being like,
is.
it's
Yeah.
okay. Like
Yeah.
you are here right now, and you can look at this and you can see, and you can kind of, I don't know if analyze because that's very mental, but you can just look at it. You can just revel in the fact that you didn't even know this was possible
Right.
5 years ago,
Right.
30 years ago,
Yes, exactly. That's how it
like,
is, man. Like, look how
yeah,
far you've come. Look how much you've endured. Look how
yeah,
stable we are in being able to talk ourselves through these things.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love that you hearted that comment because like, I feel like my modern spiritual guru is Aaron Abke.
Okay.
I know me and another Shalima or Shalima. She
Shalima.
loves him. Shalima.
Yeah, I
My
think that's how
my
you say it. Yeah.
I know my Apple thing always, but like Siri, like she'll do like an audio of like this person commented, but like I don't know if she says it right because Siri, like she says other things not correct. So when she
Right.
says names, I never know if it's right. So anyway,
Yeah.
she also follows him. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but he's very just like you comment, or just he's people come at him horribly, and 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 it's cool because like when I read and it's so funny because he did a debate with like a fundamental Christian about stuff. And the it's so interesting. Like, and he like put out he was like, hey, if you guys could give this this debate some love, and just just show some support, whatever. And so, but it was on the other guy's main page or whatever. And it was so noticeable because when I went and like the comments, like there wasn't that many comments from like spiritual people,
Yeah. Yup.
but I mean, just like flooded with like really unkind things from
Yeah.
the other side.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, like, oh man, that's where it makes it like not fair, but it's like because we are so like we can just let things go. Like it's just
Right.
like it's not even worth the energy,
Right. Yeah.
but they don't know that. So it's like they have all their energy goes to that. And it's like,
Right.
and it's like, oh man, because it's not, I'm not going to refute you, dude. Like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to be like, oh, like this is, I already did that. I already
Yeah.
know that that's a dead end. And I know
Yup.
that that is not the way. It's not like, you know,
It
so
just
it's,
holds
it's
the
just so interesting.
uncomfortability within yourself.
Yeah.
It triggers, it's a trigger, right? If you're
Yeah.
not balanced within yourself, if you're not grounded within yourself, which is another aspect of the
Yes.
balancing, being
Yeah.
grounded within yourself and like, you know, not letting other people's opinions affect you.
Yes.
And this also goes into like because I can feel it. I can feel it if you were not grounded, you would feel it within your solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
And probably your sacral chakra because something creative that you put out is being shit on by someone else.
Yeah.
And then that lowers your confidence. So that marks your creativity within your sacral and your
Mm-hmm.
confidence within your solar plexus. Um, Now, I also feel like within the spiritual side of that too, and this was just in my notes, so we're kind of going into it, but
Yeah.
like when you are so open up here, and this happens for like ADHD people and people
Mm-hmm.
who kind of escaped the world and
Okay.
more of like in hiding or what or very big empaths. Like their
Okay.
higher chakras are probably more active than their lower chakras, and
Yeah.
that is susceptible for like intruder energies to come in
Yeah.
and because you're not grounded within yourself. So you're kind of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like this person did this and this because you're overly sensitive.
Yeah.
And when you start to heal and balance out the lower chakras is when you can truly like be open. And I hope this is making sense. Open within
Yeah.
your higher chakras in a more grounded, stable
Yeah.
way. You know what I'm saying? Because your root
Yes.
is there. You have safety, which is like your from 0 to like 12-year-old. And then you have your
Hmm.
adolescence, which is your sacral, which is like 12 or 10 to like 20 or something like that. And then your
Yeah.
confidence or whatever. They all have an age or some shit. And
Yeah.
that's what programs your lower chakras. So this is also the need to balance out those chakras and
Hmm.
um
Which
the
allows the heart.
yes, yes, and then it goes up into your heart to
Yeah.
expand and then have love for others and see that nothing is really personal until you make it
And
personal.
yes, and
And
meet
that's
them
like,
where they are and
yup,
then let them go,
right.
like,
Yeah,
okay, in
right.
love, not in fear.
Yeah.
Like,
Or not in
I don't know
judgment
what
or
you're
in
doing. So,
sadness.
yes.
Because we could be sad for I can because this was me too. It was like, oh man, I'm so sad that they can't see. But then also that's creating an imbalance within me of sadness. And
Yeah.
when you see like the unconscious people within the world, it can be very disheartening and sad, but you
Yeah.
can't hold on to that either because then that's just
Hmm.
disrupting yourself. So then you say, okay, everything is divine, their journey is divine.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my spirits up and I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I tried because sometimes we can try to, plant some seeds
Yeah.
or whatever, and then the right ones will be like, oh, I've never seen it like that before. But
Yeah.
then other people, I mean, not the right ones, but the ones who can open
Yeah.
up and expand, and then other
Yes.
people stay closed. And then it's like, okay, well, they're not ready, so it's like,
Yeah.
I love you, I tried, and that's all I can ask for myself. So I'm gonna just
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I know.
Mhm.
And I say not out of like fear, because like my oldest sister was very within like the Christian mindset, was very like rebellious, and like went off and did her own thing.
Hmm.
And my parents, they tried to keep, you know, at a certain point, it was just like you can't like you can't bring that here, which
Yeah.
I get. Um, but I think because it was coming from a place of fear and a place of ego, in a sense, um, they kind of cookie cuttered that like onto us, which
Yeah.
like I didn't have like the rebellious streak.
Hmm.
I was just curious, like I was really just like what I knew the things that I was interested in, like I was curious about, like I knew I wanted to be a mom. Like I really wanted to date, and
Hmm.
truly not like I didn't even know like what, like, we were really sheltered, and
Yeah.
like I didn't even really know what, and I just knew that I liked the opposite sex and like
Yeah.
I wanted to date and I wanted to go to
Yep.
Disneyland like with a date and like hold
Yeah.
hands, like just like
Aw.
what I saw in movies, like
Yeah.
but it made me feel good and I wanted to get married and have kids, like I wanted that. But it was, I think, out of their fear of like not fully understanding like balance. Like there wasn't a lot
Yeah.
of balance,
Yeah.
like full circle.
Hmm.
And um it crushed me because I was like, how am I supposed, like how, and I can pinpoint specific like moments. And there was we were taking speech and debate, and there was this one kid, and he wasn't part of our homeschool group, but we I saw him once a week. And and he hit all my little markers of like what I thought was, like he was really cute and like he played the guitar and
Aw.
really sweet guy.
Yeah.
And it's funny, his name was Jason too, which is
Oh,
really
that's weird.
funny. I know, right?
Nice.
Um, and I just had big crush.
Yeah.
And there was another girl from his homeschool group. And at a speech and debate tournament, like it was really fun. Like you had to go to your different rooms throughout the day, but then with in the between time, they had like a common area and like you could just like talk to each other and then like you could go watch other debates and it was just fun, like it was
Yeah.
just like hub. But the girl, she was like kind of really boy crazy and like had a lot of freedom that I didn't have, but like she just really liked me and we liked each other and we just like
Yeah.
hung out the whole day. Really pretty, blonde hair, like kind of cheerleader type.
Yep.
I was like super sheltered, so it was just like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
fun, it was like the
Yeah.
movies. And
Aw.
so of course, like I confided in her. I'm like, I think he's really cute, and
Yeah.
she's just like, oh my gosh, she's like, I think he likes me too, like totally like the movies.
Yeah.
And so like we
Aw.
exchanged our emails, and then later on that day, she sent me an email, and she was just, I mean, it was nothing. I think she said maybe sucked, maybe in the email. I don't know. We were not allowed to say like anything.
Yeah.
But she just said, she's like, she's like, Jason seemed really sad when you left, and just, being
Yeah,
little,
cute, just cute little
we were like
conversation
16,
or
I think
whatever. Yeah.
15. But then, and like, I'll never forget. And this is where a lot of that imaginary blocks even now, like I'll be 40 this year,
Yeah.
and this still plays in. So like I remember my mom like called the next day, my mom called me upstairs and she had a printed piece of paper, and my mom wore her emotions like on, you knew like if she was
What was her sign?
Aries,
Oh,
which
yes.
my Jason now is an
Yes.
Aries too. So
Yeah.
I don't know her other placements, but very just, like,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
um, and she like called me up and she like handed it to me and she was just like, what is this? And that day I was the last day that I was going to like see them and
Dang.
be like instantly just
Yeah.
like,
Dang.
yeah, I know.
That
And like, I
sucks.
mean, and that, um I knew like if I had placed, I wouldn't, and this goes into my throat chakra too. I still did not like debate because I didn't like not fully understanding things and being passionate about things. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know I had, but even now, like, which is really cool because embodying all of this, I know I can explain these things and I can at least talk from like an experiential thing. But
Yeah.
back then, like I knew I didn't know anything about topics of like immigration and like, like it was,
Right.
and I didn't realize that other kids didn't know either. They just knew that you just pretended to talk about it. Like they didn't really
Yeah.
understand it either.
Right.
But like I just, knowing now myself, like I knew like
Yeah,
anyway.
and you've probably felt apart from it because you were so sheltered too. So you
Yes,
probably
I just
felt
felt
like the
such a
distance.
poser. Yes,
Yeah.
like I
Yep.
just was like, I am not, I wasn't very good at like pretending. And not that I was like so like, oh, I have to be truthful about it, but like I just didn't, it just felt weird. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know.
It wasn't like
Um,
authentic to
no,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
But writing speeches and also acting, like I loved the idea of acting, but actually acting like made me a little like, I knew I wasn't that person. So like I
Yeah.
had this very vein of like truthfulness.
Yeah.
But writing, there was one speech called an original oratory, and you
Hmm.
wrote about something that was important to you. And so I wrote, this is so interesting. So like my first one in sophomore year was on, I think, maybe truth. I always picked like something, and then I would pull in stories about people who like embodied these truths. But
Yeah.
so I knew if I had qualified for nationals, because we had a nationals, that I wouldn't be able to go. But I had written this OO on forgiveness. Isn't that interesting? And
Nice.
like my
Yeah.
opening story was on Ruby Bridges, the little girl who was the first. She was the first little African American girl to be integrated into the white school systems.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, and I
Cool.
can't remember the other ones, but when I speak on something that I know to be true, like I have a presence, like I
Yeah.
can, and like you have to stand up and you talk
Yup.
and and I was on fire that weekend and I
Yeah.
placed first of that.
Nice.
And so like I had
Damn.
this amazing day, and honestly like this is the pinnacle of like when I shut down, and I sort of, the rest of the like 15 years I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Um but so I was on a high. Like I had my crush all day around me. Like I could like sit next to him kind of and like just, and I had this girl who was like my bestie for the
Right.
day.
Yeah.
And I was on fire on my thing. And then they had the award ceremony. And like I was sitting with all of them, which I wasn't really part of their group, but like
And it
kind
made
of,
you feel really good. Yeah.
and like, and when they called my name, like they called like the third place person, the second place person, and they're like, and the first place person is, and like it was me,
Yeah. Oh my God.
you know, sorry.
It's okay. No, you're good.
So
It's okay. Oh, I'm
yeah,
giving you a hug right now. You know what
I
just
know.
happened though? It was
What?
so much energy that the whole screen froze.
No way.
Yeah. Aw,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Like that's the and then like for it to be the next day, and like it was just so like and
Yeah,
in my
dude.
mind, I was like, here's a kid who, in terms of like what my parents should approve of, he was a Christian, he could play guitar, he was a good kid, and it was like, he's not good enough, like what am I supposed to do? Like, I mean, like I'm like nothing, like I didn't understand, like
Yeah.
what I don't, and
Right.
I think just all of my chakras just like
Yup.
like
Shut down.
you have to just go out and find your way. And I kind of just shut
Aw.
down.
Yeah.
And I think I was a junior. So for the next year, like I knew I went through the motions and like I tried to go to the same college that my sisters went to. But I mean, I had so much fear and like so much everything that I had
Mm.
no idea how to navigate the world. Like
Right.
zero balance of
Yeah.
anything. Like there was just, it was just dead on the inside
Yeah.
of
Yep.
like trying to, like what is, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've
yeah,
I feel like that was basically my experience, but over and over when I was in high school,
yeah,
and just like because I couldn't express my sexuality,
yes,
and it's like when you're in that age, that's why your sacral chakra is so important during that time because you're figuring out, you're curious, you want to know, you want to express
yeah,
yourself, like not totally, like uh crazy sexually, but
right,
experiencing what these energies are and to be free of that. And I couldn't do that either. So my
yeah,
chakras were shut off too. And then I went on antidepressants, on anxiety meds, stuff
yeah,
like that. And it was like I was within myself too, and I was hidden and I was locked away
yeah.
somewhere too. So I'm just sending
It's
you
like
a big hug.
I know, thank you. I can feel it.
Mm. But
I
also,
know.
this is where the balance needs to come in too for us as parents and like letting our little ones be able to
Yeah,
express themselves and understand. Like the other day, I asked Andon, I'm like, are you gonna want like a family when you grow up or something?
yeah,
And I asked him this a couple of years ago, and I was just curious of if he ever thought about it,
yeah.
And a couple of years ago, he's like, no, I just want all my space for all the dogs I'm gonna have.
So cute.
Now he's like, I asked him if he wants a family, and he's like, yeah, I want a family one day. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, you'd be a really good dad or whatever. And he's
Yeah,
like, and he's, I don't know if I should say this. Never mind. It's not my
yeah,
business, so I just won't
for
even.
sure. Yeah,
But
yeah,
he's going through something within himself where he's
yeah,
experiencing love beyond that, like beyond
yeah,
his little self, He's
yeah.
grown up now and like Daniel has brothers and sisters and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
so he understands, but Andon is like an only child
Yeah,
and he doesn't really have that of loving like someone else other than his parents type of thing.
yeah.
So it's like exciting to hear and also like we have to have a balance within our kids to say, okay, go and explore, but also like when they're of that age to like talk to them about sex and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because without, they're going to be curious if they don't
Hmm.
know. And then it'll be like, okay, but do you want a kid? right now,
Yeah.
no, then
Exactly.
either stay abstinent or, practice safe
And this
sex
was
or
a
whatever
huge,
when the time
yeah,
comes. Yeah.
this was huge for me because, I you begin to realize, like, as soon as you step out of whatever religious box that you are
Hmm.
in, let's say, like from you're just like, I'm just curious, and so you start to like go out. You automatically assume like the world is all carnal and it's all about, because that's what we see, in movies, or like, I get that that's an easy assumption. But when you
Yeah.
start interacting with people, and
Hmm.
especially for me, like in the spiritual community, it's when it comes from more of a common sense
Yeah.
and not a religious
Yeah.
sense, it makes more sense of
Yeah.
like I feel like kids are more apt to be like, oh, yeah, I don't want to kid. Like I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not
Otherwise
because
they're
you're a
gonna,
bad person,
yeah.
like and it's more of like, and like coming from a space of like taking that stigma off of like, you can't think about it, you can't do any of,
Yep.
you have to put it as far back into the recesses of your
Yeah.
whatever.
And
And if you at
that's,
all think, because that's where like porn addiction comes in. That's
yep.
where like it's like if you're not allowed to do something, it is our natural inclination to want to think about it. Like if I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to do that, it's and I think that's where it goes back to the metaphor of like the Garden of Eden, of like,
Hmm.
who told you like you couldn't have these things? Because as soon
Right.
as you tell yourself, I can't do that, it's just like, like you're just like, but
Yep.
why can't I? Why?
Yep.
But as soon as you are like, you can,
Yeah.
and there's still grace for that.
Right. And you can
You're
forgive
still a part of
yourself.
source. There's still, you
Yes.
can still just be like, oh, wow, that wasn't what I thought it would be. Because like let's take an example of porn.
Yeah.
Like it's because it's like if you're telling yourself I cannot have this thing, but I can watch somebody else do it,
Yep.
it's the same thing as like sugar, like
Yeah.
between sugar
Exactly.
and vegetables. It's
Yep.
like if I understand that I can have this in like, healthy ways, and why you should or shouldn't, because there's all of these factors. Like when you start liking somebody, there's so
Hmm.
much going on, and you don't want to put all of those chemicals, all of what's happening into all of
Yep.
these people, because then it's dividing your energy, and you're a part of each other, and it's just not healthy.
Yeah.
But if you save all of that
Yep.
for a person that you really like, that gives you
Right.
those butterflies,
Yep.
and you're respecting them, like respect is so important,
Yes.
because before you can love something, I think you need to respect it. Like you can't
Hmm.
really like know what love is. So
Yeah.
like with like porn, it's like you are so like you're not allowing yourself to understand like the why
Right.
of why it's important. It's just good or bad. Like no, that's too simplistic. Like it's a
Right.
complex thing, and
Yeah.
sometimes we are complex individuals, so
Hmm.
sometimes we have to learn the hard way, like,
Right.
and but again, there's grace for that. You can like at any moment we have the capability and the power to be like, no, like this is not what I want, I'm going to go on this road, like,
Right.
and no shame, like
Right.
that's great. Like you are that powerful, you can just
Hmm.
shift,
Yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
if people are constantly being told like you're good or bad, and you are not allowed to explore this whatsoever, it's like, well, I still have all of these biological things that if I'm not realizing that it's also spiritual, I'm just going to, I need to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like
And that's the balance too, because it's like, well, okay, so there's 2 points here is that kids are rebellious. So
mm-hmm.
it's like if you tell them not to do something, it's like, okay, well now I'm gonna do it because now
Yeah.
there's
I want
restraint,
to know.
there's resistance, and children or like adolescents or whatever want to break out of that box,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's important to like talk to them about everything, but also there is the balance there for, everybody who is of the age of like sexual consent and stuff like that and looking
Hmm.
into porn of like obviously porn isn't even realistic, so
Right.
kids or whoever growing up having this in their head thinking this is what sex is going to be like, it's like,
Right.
okay, well that's not what it is. It's way more
Right.
loving, passionate and stuff like that. But also it's your willpower is within your sexual energy. And if
Hmm.
you're just giving out that energy either to porn or to different partners, also
Yeah.
different partners are energetically connected to you
Hmm.
through your energy if you guys have sex or whatever. And porn can, like, if you're doing this thing daily and giving out your will,
Hmm.
like, what's going to be left of you? This is how we manifest. This is how we
Yeah.
ramp up our own energy to have the energy to do things, you know?
Hmm.
And that is a balance within that. And also it is like, um, no one knew this before. You know,
Hmm.
nobody fucking knew this. I never knew this. And
I
also
know.
with ADHD people too, porn can be like a dopamine thing
Hmm.
too, because I know that a
Like,
lot of
yeah.
ADHD people were addicted to porn, and I used to be
Yeah.
too. And it's like
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's because you're searching for something to put your energy into, and when you don't have something on the greater scale, this is where it's going to go into
Hmm.
because it's
You know, it's
so accessible, man.
you know what's
So,
interesting is right before I and like I had a block against like watching YouTube. I know this is really like weird, but like
mhm.
it was hard for me to I think I would just sort of invest. I didn't know like where I did not know what I believed, I think is the
Mhm.
biggest like and so when I would watch YouTube, I think my energy, I would feel my energy become intermingled. And because I wasn't crystal clear about what like who I was, what do I would feel like pulled and like I didn't, it just was a lot of energy output for me. And
Yeah.
like I just did not want to watch YouTube. It was
Yeah.
really weird.
Hmm.
But then and this is where it's super like I had no idea that sexual energy is intertwined in creative energy,
Yeah. Yep.
right? Like
Hmm.
that was like I was
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah. It's
like
really
that's
fucking cool.
so crazy, you
Yeah.
know? That's but duh. Like it
Yeah.
makes so much sense. Like if we create something, that's the ultimate of like what that can do.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
everything else, all of our creations, we're you know, we're creating something. But so I broke that block of going on YouTube through this is so funny through ASMR. And like ASMR is like you know like
Yeah. The
if people don't know what
crunchy
ASMR, yeah,
stuff
like
or
crunchy,
whatever.
but
Like,
there's also it's almost like audible audio PG porn. Like if I'm going to like put it so that people
yeah.
understand like what it is. So it's like so it's just it's audible. Like there's
Yeah.
no visual. And
Yep.
it's like a lot of it is like boyfriends snuggling and whispering sweet nothings in your ear or
Yeah.
like, you know, and they have like both, you know, different genres of like
Yeah.
that. Um and it really it's interesting that you said that about ADHD
Hmm.
because right before and it broke down that barrier for me for being on YouTube and it kind of led me into like going like strolling through YouTube and like you know but it initially began from allowing those parts of me
Hmm.
to explore like my sensual side and
Yeah.
like my sensuality and things that like I never really got to fulfill in a
Yeah.
sense
Hmm.
because I'm not a very visual person. Like I can
Yeah.
like what I mean I'm just I don't have I mean I never had like a visual addiction.
Yeah.
But it turned but it I ran its course of like I mean I had playlists. I was like you know I
Yeah.
was very
Yep.
fixated on it.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon it's empty because it's
Right.
not what is this doing for me? Like,
Right.
I'm a mom, I mean,
Yeah.
no shame, no shame. Like,
No,
if
yeah.
you're in that moment, and sometimes it's fun, like,
Right.
ooh, like, or whatever. And like the sounds are really cool. Like people are really into ASMR. Like if you go on there, like it's like, whoa, like they have full blown, like, just like making sounds on the microphone. And it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But but at a certain point, I was like, this isn't my all, end all be all. Is that the saying? Like
Yes.
I know that there's more. Like I want to do art. Like I want to
Right. It's
do a
well, it's something that's outside of you. And
yes.
what it's after a while, anything outside of you is going to get boring
I
until
love
you
that.
feel what is inside of you. And this is
Yes.
the yin and the yang. So the
Yeah.
sexual energy is the
Mm-hmm.
Shakti. So it's the divine feminine. And then
Yeah.
we as humans, the
Mm-hmm.
masculine, are able to put out this energy in the
Mm-hmm.
masculine sense of doing to create what it is that we like and what lights us up,
Yeah.
like I love photography, I love tarot, I love all this
Yeah.
other stuff. But then also it is um releasing that divine feminine energy within yourself of understanding your sensuality too and not
Yeah.
denying that because that is a big part of who you are. And when we
Yeah.
shame ourselves and when we put that, like when we try to stuff that down, or if we
Mm-hmm.
shame what we like or whatever that is, then it's like, then you're not letting yourself like
Yes.
flow. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like it's not you then there's just like stagnation because
Yes.
you're at odds. Like
Yeah.
you're just don't
And
know like what's
then
going on.
and then it's kind of like the rebellious thing too, because if you don't
Mm-hmm.
honor yourself and what you are doing, like what you are meant to feel, you're gonna explode sometimes and go into drastic points to do that thing, and it may
Mm-hmm.
not be what you really wanted to do, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, like
Yeah.
and then you have more shame rather than letting it flow naturally and
Yeah.
understanding truly what it is that lights you up or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it may be.
It's yeah. No, it is. And like at a certain point, it was just like I have a bigger purpose. Like
Right.
I have something that I'm and I think it's just that transition of going from outside of yourself and like that dopamine hit
Yup.
to it's just not work. I mean, like it's just not. I've got to, I've got to, I've got to just do the digging. Like I've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
to, like just go within and then finding those spaces of like, okay, now these things come easily or not easily, but like, what are my talents? Like, what are the things that light me up?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put this energy
Yup.
towards that,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's where I think the magic starts to happen, and
Yeah.
the Christos, the Kundalini,
Yeah.
the like that starts to rise up, and it's
Hmm.
like, oh wow, like I can actually, and then all the other little pieces start to like you can go out into the world and you don't need, you can just show up,
Yeah.
like as you are, like
Right.
I even if it's not, like if it's just you're just rolling out of bed and getting there,
Right.
but like compared to the times where like I had to like talk myself up to like go out and be like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do this, and then be
Yup.
done and just be like,
Yup.
oh God, like
Yeah.
and like that's not
It,
happening anymore,
yeah.
like it's like that raw energy of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and
building.
it's like
Yeah.
you're free flowing because it's like you're doing what you're doing and then
Yeah.
you're just nice and chill and you're respecting others and you have balance
Yes.
within yourself and you let go of judgment and you let go of judgment of yourself and then
Yes.
you're
And
just
then you can truly love people because you're
yes.
loving yourself. It's
Right.
like, I don't have to be anything other than what I am right now,
Yeah,
And I can accept others for where they are right now,
right. Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing,
It's so cool
like,
because it's so and it's also in the energy of surrendering too, surrendering to the
Yeah.
divine. And this is where meditation helps too.
Yeah.
But just being able to surrender and being like, okay, well, I feel like doing this now, or I have to do this now, so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be like in this moment when I do it and not think about literally anything
Like
then
why I don't. Yes.
doing, and then just go out and do it. And then you come home and you're like, okay, well, that was
I did
cool.
it.
And then
Yeah.
now you're home. So then now you're like, okay, now what can I do at home? Rather than
Hmm.
being like, say you're at home and you have to do this thing. But if you're at
Hmm.
home and you have like 2 hours to do this thing and you're constantly thinking about
Hmm.
doing that in the future, it's going to be stressful and it develops anxiety and you're not
Hmm.
going to be balanced within yourself because the best place to be is here. So if you're at home, focus on being at home, set an
Yeah.
alarm or something. Alarms help me a lot with that. Like
Yeah.
so then I don't have to think about it. Um and then I do whatever I can and then I'll look at the time and I'm like, okay, 5 minutes or an alarm goes off and it's like, all right, now
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this, and then
Yeah.
go and do it and then just chill out. And sometimes like I like to people watch or I like to feel the
Yeah.
energies around me too to see like, oh, okay, this person something something because I like for me, I can feel like other people's chakras and stuff like that and I like to understand people just because it helps with what I do too.
Yeah.
So like that's nice because then I'm in balance within myself, so I'm no longer letting their people's vibes
Yeah.
screw up my vibes.
Yeah.
And then I can do what I have to do, be very nice to everybody, and then come home and be like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. For
rather than
sure.
being so stressed. And it's
Hmm.
honestly, I figured this out like at work is that like, my inner dialogue, like it wasn't the work that was stressful. It was
Hmm.
my inner self that was making it so stressful. And I used to work
Yeah.
12-hour days and I would just be
Wow.
dead. Yeah, so
That's a
then
long
I would
stretch.
yeah, 12-hour days and then sometimes five days a week. So this is what I got out of when I moved here. So,
Yeah.
but I would be at work and honestly me mastering peace at work, I think was why I was there and
Hmm.
understanding everyone else's energies and stuff like that. But because I would be at work and my mind would be spinning about everybody else
Hmm.
and having to do this and having to do this and why is this person this way and why is this person this way? And Sammy worked with me too. And during like the
Yeah.
earlier times, I had like jealousy issues and stuff like that. If she would talk to other people and stuff, and I would be like, well, why the fuck isn't she coming to talk to me type of shit.
Right.
And it's like it's like yes, a very much victim mentality and stuff there. But
Yes.
also it was the hurt within my insecurities,
Hmm.
but it was those thoughts that made me so exhausted and having
Hmm.
my body was so tense because I would just be thinking of all this stuff and then eventually that's where breathing comes in too to bring a balance to
Yeah.
cells. And so this is cool because it's actually leading into something that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But I was just listening to so over what was the last thing that we had? I think it was like a moon. I don't know. Within
Is
this
it the
past
spring equinox? Oh, blood
no,
moon?
that
Was it
was
the blood moon?
yesterday and then I think the moon was
That was
the
a few days ago.
yeah, I
Or
think
like last week?
I think after the moon, I had these downloads coming in about our cells and the
Hmm.
chemistry of the world, so the balance of the world and how
Oh, that's
like,
beautiful.
talking to other people is like your chemistry matches.
Hmm.
Even if you're at a dense stage, it'll be,
Yeah.
butting heads. And if you're at a
Yeah.
lighter stage, it'll be nice and free flowing. And like I was getting so many downloads and I was like really intense. Like I couldn't talk to
Yeah.
anyone. I was just sitting at home like I need to fucking ground myself. But it was so
Yeah.
much and I was seeing cells and chemistry everywhere and in my body. So then I started looking up gut health because your gut
Oh,
health is your
yeah.
brain health. And then I went into a deep dive
Mhm.
into probiotics with prebiotics, lots of
Yeah.
fiber and protein. And now I changed up my whole diet because the
That's
chemistry of
amazing.
your body needs the chemistry of these foods. And in Deepak uh, Chopra, one of his
Yeah.
books, I think it's called The Secret. I'll have to look it up here. But he says that the energy of the world, let me hold on, I can't like do this at the same time. Oh, The Book of Secrets by Deepak Chopra,
Okay.
says that like the cell within our body is the cell of the world. So the world is literally in
Wow.
ourselves. And he goes on listing how expansion happens and how cells
Yeah.
regenerate and how all of this
Amazing.
stuff goes in. And I was
Yeah.
just seeing like DNA strands, and it's cool because the first
Yeah.
time I saw our energy,
Yeah.
it was like the DNA strands. And
Yeah.
it's just so cool, like when you get the balance of the
Yeah.
chemistry of the world, and everything is a balance. And when you're out of balance, that's when chaos comes in
Hmm.
and like the downfall and burnouts and not feeling
Yeah.
good enough and all this other stuff. So,
It just plays into everything, you
mhm,
know? Like and I even I always see like a bridge, um, which I think ties into my purpose of that that's where my heart is of bridging between like spirituality and science and spirituality and religion, you know? And
mhm,
like because like I don't I think religion played its course. Like I think
mhm,
like looking back in time over the centuries, you know, and knowing when the masses are in a low vibration, like I get it. Like I
yeah,
can see how people in power were like, and I don't think it was always like I don't think it was like this like demonic type, like, oh, you know, but I think it was out of like those good intentions of like, wow, we've got to help steer this and like scare the hell out of them so that they will go on the right path. You know what I mean? Like
right,
that's like the good side. You know, like I'm sure it has like it's whatever. I don't know how it all came to be.
yeah,
But I can see that when people are told a story, like it has a lot of impact on them, you know, and
yeah,
it does what it's supposed to. And
yeah,
it's I don't think it's beneficial in any way in the long run. I mean,
right,
look at the last 2000 years, you know,
yeah,
like I don't think, yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, was, I mean, and look at like Yeshua, like got crucified for speaking this message. So like from that point on, like you, we will never know, you know what I mean? Like we'll
yeah,
never know
yeah.
what it
It,
could have been.
and I
Like we
think
know, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's what we're seeing within the spiritual like YouTube, everyone, and I even put a video out on it, is there's a split happening
Hmm.
between the fear density and
Yeah.
the confinement within religion or even atheists and people who are seeking the higher power within themselves and
Yeah.
the higher consciousness. And this is
Hmm.
like you'll always see those 3D, 5D splits or whatever, and
Hmm.
people are t maybe talking about like present. I don't really know what's going on. Like whatever. I don't even really want to go into it. I acknowledge
Yeah.
it and I accept it, but it's like not where I want to focus my
Yeah.
energy. But there's a split happening, and it's all it is. And it's like all it is that there's a higher consciousness awakening in a broader perspective of the collective energy.
Hmm.
Just more people are awakening to their inner self. And
Yeah.
that's what the split is going to be. So, and then there's going to be ones in between that are just awakening and trying to figure this out and stuff. And that's why
Yeah.
it's important to have like podcasts like this
Yeah.
or our channels like you diving into your passion of drawing is very
Yeah.
fucking beautiful because it's putting out that collective energy of focusing your energy on what you love to do. And for me,
Yeah.
it's like, yes, my tarot and my messages and whatever
Yeah.
help align people with themselves and help empower them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I think the this is where and it's really sticky because growing up in fundamental Christianity, the to talk about um, like the resurrection and that the only way is through Jesus. Like that narrative, which is a narrative because it's within the canonized Bible, which we know was stitched together by a collection of men over the course of hundreds of years.
Hmm.
So it's crafted. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the Bible, as we know it, did not fall from the sky. Like
Yeah.
it was crafted by men, whether they were in, like because if you break it all down, because they're like, well, it was inspired, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, inspired still means there's a thread of human, like inspired does not mean like the Holy Spirit completely took over their free will.
Mhm.
We live in a free will paradigm. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point of
Hmm.
living as the human experience is free will. And
Yeah.
like we anyway. So like this is also like the precipice for me of like actually saying that, because when you grow up in it, like that's like the pinnacle of like very Roman Catholic. And it's funny because people like Protestantism, or like when you're Catholic or you're like not Catholic, um when you're in Christian
Yeah.
culture,
Okay.
like the Catholics are over here. Like there's
Okay.
so much division. Like it just
Yeah.
is like, oh
I
my
don't know
gosh. So
any
like
of it.
Catholics, I know. So like Catholics,
Yeah.
so I grew up with the understanding
Hmm.
that unless you have like because in Catholicism you have to go to mass, you have to go to a priest, or you're not probably going to go to heaven. Like those things get you to heaven.
Yeah.
That's like Catholicism.
Yeah.
Like Protestantism, which is like non-denominational, all the other, it's like that was that big divide back in the Reformation, or the during Martin Luther. Like that was what all the wars were about, and all the
Okay.
cleansings, and all the, it was like, no, that's not true. We don't have to listen to you guys. We're going to go over here, and it's saying just by saying this prayer, basically, is how you get to heaven.
Yeah.
And like that's the big divide.
Yeah.
And so like for me now, completely out of it, and I can like look at it, and I grew up in Protestantism. So like growing up over here, looking over at like the Catholics, I was on like, I don't know if anyone ever like out and out said this, but I was under the assumption that Catholics were still going to hell, like just
Yeah.
throwing it out there, because
Okay.
they're doing all this stuff and they're not just claiming this prayer, so they're still going to hell too. We
Yeah.
just know the truth. Like that,
Yeah.
just the group who believes like it's not through works, it's not through saying a prayer every day. So like there's freedom in
Yeah.
Christ, but a lot of these people and this group, you know, again, as a kid, you're just kind of taking in what the grown-ups are saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like kind of making fun of like whale lovers, making fun
Mhm.
of people about the environment, like it's just all a conspiracy. So very like we have freedom in Christ, but we don't really have any respect for the planet. Like we
Right.
don't have, so it's
Mhm.
like this very weird, like
Yeah. It's a
it
separation.
it's all separation.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
it is.
taking, like we don't have any accountability. Like
Yeah.
we're just and we're just the in group, and
Yeah.
everyone else is just lost.
Yeah.
They're
And
unbelievers and they're lost.
right.
And like not taking responsibility for like the horrible atrocities that came from colonization. And colonization began from missionaries, like but not all of it, but I'm like that's what they branded, like, okay, let's go out and um help these lost souls who were just doing their own thing, like
Yeah.
respecting the earth, like
Yeah.
American, like Native Americans,
Yeah.
like praying over their the spirit of their brothers, of the
Yep.
animals, like just living
Just
life.
doing the actual spiritual work
Yes.
and
Like
what they
just
believed,
and
that
loving the
aligned
earth
with
and
their
loving,
stuff. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Um, so my point was like modern Christians are so um like hell bent on preserving the Bible, and like the Bible is every like the but it's like Rome, like the Roman Catholic thing of franchise from back then, like in like the early centuries,
Yeah.
they're the ones that created the Bible.
Right.
Like it's this
Yeah.
weird like even like, and they don't, like today modern Christians don't want to go to them. It's like, well, all of that is in the past. And it's funny because they adopt these new age type principles of like, well, all that matters is right now. But it's like true.
Yes.
However, to really appreciate the right now,
Yeah.
we have to go to the root.
Yeah. Yep.
So important. And if
Yes.
we're not willing to go to the root of how this all came to be, the now is tainted. The
Right.
now we cannot, the now is, it has grown
Right. Yep.
into
Because,
all
yeah,
this
because
judgment,
it has all the
a
programming
separation.
into
Yeah.
it from the past.
Yes.
So, yeah, man.
And there's
That's
no
how,
balance. Like
yeah.
balance can't be
Right.
because the root is in out of balance. So like you
It's
have to go
toxic.
to the, I think I hear Emma.
Your baby
She was,
crying.
yeah. Well, she's like
Is she
stirring.
awake?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she's
Okay.
awake. But
Okay.
perfect timing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just wanted to say, like, yeah, Jesus is the answer, but Jesus is our heart space. Like
Yes.
in the
Yeah, the
Christian.
Christ, like
Yeah.
his
So they're just
his
seeing it outside
message.
of
Yeah.
themselves, which is also the imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's like the
um,
inversion. Yeah.
yeah. Are you good? Do you think I
Yeah.
know she's moving, so should we wrap this up? I pulled the
Yes.
card
You
and
did? I'm gonna do one
yeah.
too.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay, mine is endless possibilities.
Oh my gosh, mine is magic.
Yes. Yes, dude. Honestly, man, with the endless possibilities and with the magic. Yeah, you go ahead and read yours.
Okay. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move toward possibilities and expressions that are as grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation.
Wow. Dude, exactly what we talked about
Oh, and
today.
this is like what you were talking about,
Yep,
the
the Metatron
um,
cube.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
Man,
awesome.
that's so cool. And then I have this beautiful little girl with the stars aligning for her for the endless possibilities. Let me
Oh
see if I
yeah.
can get this
And
better
this is
here.
like stars too.
Nice. Cool.
It's like mine exploded into yours.
Yeah.
Right?
It's awesome.
That is so beautiful.
Cool. Okay. So,
Oh,
thank you
what number
guys.
is yours? Does yours
Oh,
have a
what number?
number?
Yeah, 38.
38. Mine's 31.
Nice. So, 38,
That's
um,
11.
outer communication and infinite
Yeah.
possibilities, and 8 and 3 go into 11, which is ascension.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is yours? 3 and
31,
31?
which is a 4. So that's like the same. It's like,
It's stability and
yeah,
grounding. Yeah.
love it.
Cool.
Yay.
Wow, great. So this was man, I loved this episode so much.
Yes.
So,
A
anyone who
really good
tunes
flow.
into this, thank you guys for being here. And our individual socials are in the description in the
Yes.
link, and we'll see you guys on the next one, whatever that will be. So, all right, peace, guys. Um,